Coming up on Locked On Dodgers, the Dodgers were down by 7, then we're down by 1, and then ended up losing by 8. It was a rough game for Julio Urías and everyone else who pitched. It was a somewhat good game for the offense. We'll get into that. We'll get into Julio. We'll get into Yency Almonte. We'll get into a bunch of things. So that's what's on tap. So make sure to keep it locked on Dodgers.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yo, Dodger fans. Welcome to Locked On Dodgers. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 local sports daily podcast network. Locked On, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Birddogs. Go to birddogs.com/lockedonmlb, and when you enter promo code LOCKEDONMLB, they'll throw in a free custom Birddogs Yeti-style tumbler with every order. This is the daily podcast covering the Los Angeles Dodgers, bringing you the smart fans' perspective on our boys in blue. You can find us wherever you find podcasts and on YouTube simply by searching for Locked On Dodgers. And if you never want to miss a day, because you know we're not going to, you want to be an everydayer, you can subscribe wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube, and you'll get it sent directly to your phone on a little push notification or however you have it set up, and never miss a day. If this is your first time listening or watching, I'm Vince Samperio, and I'm usually joined by co-host Jeff Snider, but it'll just be me today. We're both lifelong Dodger fans that have spent time covering the team. We spend a lot of time watching the team, and we're here to bring you the smart fans perspective on our boys in blue every weekday morning for around 30 minutes. So that's what I'm here to do today. Unfortunately, today we're coming off a loss, and we get to talk about what's wrong with Julio Urías and what's wrong with Yency Almonte, and kind of look forward to the rest of this series and see if hopefully the Dodgers can salvage and win the next 3, or at the very least win 2 of the next 3. So, yeah, the Dodgers didn't start off very well. Julio Urías struggled. By the time you opened your eyes in like the 5th inning, it was 9-2. The Dodgers did a good job coming back offensively, scoring 5 in the 6th inning to make it 9-7. They picked up another run in the 7th, made it 9-8. And then after that, the Dodgers gave up 7 runs in the 8th inning, and the game was out of hand after that. They gave up 7 home runs in total. Every pitcher that came in gave up at least 3 runs. So it was just one of those days. But obviously the main conversation we're going to have today is about Julio Urías, and he went 3 innings, gave up 6 hits, 6 earned runs, 4 home runs, only struck out 1. He looked good the first 2 innings, and then the 3rd inning everything kind of fell apart. And this is now the 3rd time this season Julio's had a start where he didn't really look good at all, and his ERA is up to, I believe, 4.39 now. Yeah, he's at 4.39 ERA, a whip of 1.16. He's now got more innings pitched than strikeouts on the season, and it's just not looking good for someone who's pitching for a payday. Julio Urías isn't making himself any extra money right now, and you try to see what's different, and you kind of saw yesterday. It's not so much the pitches that are that much different from years past. You look at the vertical movement, and his vertical movement on his pitches is essentially the same. Obviously, he had the cutter this year, but he really kind of abandoned the cutter usage a little bit. He's throwing that about 9% of the time. You look at vertical movement, it's about the same. You look at uh, horizontal movement, and it's about the same. He's got a little bit less run on his fastball, but not huge difference. You look at pitch velocity, and yeah, his velocity is down from years past, but I don't nothing to the point that it's like extremely concerning. I mean, he just doesn't throw as hard anymore, but he's still been able to be effective. Now he's just not being able to be effective, and it's from missing like in the zone. And yesterday he struggled. And if you look at every pitch that was hit for a home run, the pitch was right down the middle. No matter what pitch it was right down the middle. It was fastball right down the middle, changeup right down the middle. The slurve right down the middle. So Julio operates best when he's hitting corners, when he's touching the top of the zone, touching the bottom of the zone, touching the outside, touching the inside. He's staying away from the middle part of the zone. And yesterday he didn't stay away from the middle part of the zone. And the Cardinals made him pay. The Cardinals are a hot offense right now. They've scored, seven, I think they're averaging like 7 runs over the last 10, 11 games when they've been on this 8-2 run. And Julio, played right into it. And you kind of look at his pitches this year on a whole. And now Julio's given up, I believe, a bunch of home runs this year. I think he was up to 14 home runs allowed. Let's see, 14 home runs allowed so far this season. He's up there, I believe, tied for the major league lead or has the major league lead, and it's because he's not there with his command, and he's not been able to, Julio's, like I said, a guy that lives in the corners, lives on the edges, and he's not living there. And when he has to bring this stuff into the zone a little bit more, realistically, it's not elite stuff at the moment, and guys are taking advantage of it. And the biggest part for like the home runs allowed is he's allowing most of his home runs on the four-seam fastball and the changeup, and those are two pitches that work well when they're being utilized right, like I said, on the edges, uh, in the corners, and when they're not, Julio's fastball averages 93 miles an hour. That's not overpowering enough for a major league hitter. If a fastball is in the zone, they're able to hit a fastball, and as good as the changeup is, if the changeup's over the middle of the plate, it's not that hard to hit because it's right there, and his changeup has movement, but like I said, the elite movement that it used to have, maybe not quite there. He's down a little bit in horizontal movement on it. Vertical movement is still there, but it's, like I said, not elite at the moment, and a less elite when it's packaged around the fact that he's throwing it over the middle of the plate. So, Julio, there was some talk after the game about tipping pitches or they asked Dave Roberts about, maybe was Julio tipping pitches, and he didn't want to say yes, but he also said maybe, it's something they had to clear the kitchen, I think was the wording he used, which basically, kind of break it down and take it back simple wise and see, okay, was he tipping pitches? Was he, um, what was there something that the Cardinals were catching on? Because, he did say that the Cardinals were hitting Julio hard. I forget what the exact wording he said, but like basically, they were hitting Julio hard, and maybe there was tipping, but regardless, like I said, I went back and obviously watched the homers that he gave up, and went back and okay, so here it is. Dave Roberts on whether Julio Urías might have been tipping pitches. Says I hate to discount what they did. It just seemed like they were on everything. Obviously, I know that hitting guy over there, Turner Ward. It's something he prides himself on. He didn't make good pitches. They were on everything, but I think we've got to clean our kitchen as well and look into that. But I don't know definitively. And yeah, obviously tipping pitches is a big jump from, hey, he just had a bad game. But again, you don't need to tip pitches with the location that the 4 home runs in that inning, you know, yeah, would tipping pitches have helped them? Yes, obviously. But every pitch was right down the middle, regardless of it was changeup or the slurve or a fastball, it was right down the middle. And, guys can hit pitches down the middle. So we're gonna, is there concern for Julio? We'll get into that a little bit, and then we'll kind of get into Yency Almonte and the rest of the bullpen arms that pitch yesterday, and see if there's anything else we can find out there. So that's what's on tap. So make sure to keep it locked on Dodgers. Today's episode is brought to you by Sorare. And Sorare is a revolutionary new fantasy baseball game and marketplace transforming fans into owners with officially licensed digital cards featuring players from across all 30 MLB teams. Unlike the other fantasy baseball platforms, Sorare managers truly own their fantasy experience. You can collect, you can buy, you can sell, you can compete with player cards against global opponents to win rewards and prizes. Win or lose, you still own your cards and there's no cost to play. The more you win, the more you advance, the more increasingly powerful cards you collect, the more next level competitions you access, the more rewards you can win. And Sorare games. So what happens? There's MLB game weeks or twice weekly. They span a 3 to 4 day cycle. You get your cards, you put them in, you line them up, and obviously you need your guys to perform, just like Dave Roberts needs his guys to perform on the field. At the end of the game weeks, the managers that are top near or top the leaderboards get a bunch of rewards. There's cards for the game. There's game tickets. There's for actual games, merchandise, signed jerseys, VIP experiences. Obviously, the prices vary on how big the competition is. So head to sorare.com/locked on. That's SORARE.com/locked on to draft your team of free player cards. Set your lineup and start competing today to win epic rewards. Again, that's sorare.com/locked on to start playing today. I want to thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day every day. And remember, you can listen to every Dodgers home broadcast on the SiriusXM or the SXM app. Simply search Dodgers. Dodgers take on the Cardinals tonight at 5:15 p.m. If you can't watch and you want to listen, SiriusXM or the SXM app and search Dodgers, and you can listen to the home broadcast. All right. Real quick on Julio, just last point. Are we worried? Are we concerned? Obviously, it's concerning. I don't know if we're full. I don't know. I'm not fully concerned yet, but it's concerning. And I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Like it's a command issue at this point. The stuff is not elite anymore. Let's be realistic. The stuff's not elite. It's still really good stuff, and it's still number one, number two quality stuff. But that stuff is only number one, number two quality when it's piggybacked or on top of elite command, and that's where Julio's lived. Basically since he's been good the last few years, it's mostly command based. His stuff hasn't changed that much. Velocity's gone down a little bit, but essentially he wasn't a 98 mile an hour throwing guy anyways. He was lived mid to high 90s, I guess, if 96 is considered high 90s. Now he's mid to low 90s, 93, 95. But that doesn't change. Like I said, it's for him with the pitch mix he has. The command is huge. The command isn't there. This is unfortunately what's going to happen sometimes, and it's concerning. I'm not concerned yet, and well, obviously that can change really fast if he has another couple bad starts. So, another guy that is concerning, and maybe more so on the precipice of concerned, is Yency Almonte. So, like I mentioned earlier, the Dodgers had 4 guys pitch. They all gave up at least 3 runs. Phil Bickford gave up 3 runs. Phil Bickford, we've talked about him a lot. That's basically what he is at this point. He is the last man in your bullpen, or that's what he was at. He's still kind of there, but last man in your bullpen. Sometimes he's gonna give up 3 runs in an inning. Sometimes he's gonna go 3 innings and just give up 1 run in extra inning. Like you don't know what you're gonna get with Phil Bickford, which is why he's not considered one of the Dodgers, main relievers. But obviously there are times when you have to use him, and yet yesterday was one of those times, and he gave up more runs. The other one, Andre Jackson, gave the Dodgers some length, 3 1/3 innings. Also ended up giving up 3 runs. His ERA in the season's up to 7.98. Andre Jackson at this point is nothing more than mop up / innings eater. He, we talked about him in maybe a similar role to Ross Stripling or Mitch White in the past. I don't know if he has that stuff, and if he does, he's definitely not showing it this year. He was a lot better last year in the similar role than he has this year. But yeah, at this point, you think he has probably 3 options left after this one. So who knows how long he'll stay on the roster this time. And then after that, the Dodgers are going to have to be a little bit more selective when they call him up. And realistically, the way he's pitching, he doesn't need to be called up unless they absolutely need him in a pinch, which is what happened this time. Yency Almonte was a guy that was supposed to be one of the late inning guys for the Dodgers this year, along with Brusdar Graterol, Evan Phillips, Alex Vesia. And obviously that hasn't quite gone the way the Dodgers want. Alex Vesia is currently in AAA. Evan Phillips has been good. Brusdar Graterol has not been great, but not been bad. He's just kind of been meh. But at this point, Yency Almonte has been bad. He has a 9 ERA. He only has 13 strikeouts and 18 innings pitched. He has a whip of 1.78. He's not been good. He had one stretch, I think, with 5 scoreless appearances, and other than that, he's not been good. And this is a guy that, relievers volatile. That's what we like to say here. And he wasn't a big strikeout guy even last year. He had 33 strikeouts in 35 innings. It's not like he was a big strikeout guy, but he had a 102 ERA last year. And he only allowed 2 home runs. He's already allowed 4 this year and essentially half as many innings. And for him, it's very similar to Julio in the sense of he's missing his spots. And he's, yesterday, you look at when he came in and he gave up a home run and it was on a changeup over the plate. He gave up the home run to Contreras. It was on a sweeper over the plate after really missing big on the first 2 pitches. He got Contreras to chase one, and he went back to the same pitch, and this one was in the zone and crushed over the wall. And for Almonte, similar. We go to look, okay, what's different from last year, and there's not a huge difference. He's throwing the sweeper around 4% less of the time, which is maybe an issue. So like last year, he threw a sweeper 47, almost 48% of the time, had a 119 batting average against it, had a 203 slugging percentage against it. Wasn't as lucky either because he had a 240 expected slugging percentage. So this year, the sweeper is similar, 43.8% of the time, a 167 batting average against, a slugging percentage of 333, and an expected slugging percentage of 363. 11 of his strikeouts have come from the sweeper. And he has a 43% whiff percentage on that sweeper. The issue is every other pitch that he's thrown. His sinker has a 355 batting average against with the 44 slugging. His changeup has a 500 batting average against with the 900 slugging. And his four-seam fastball has a 333 batting average against with with slugging percentage of 1.333. And none of those are, really off what their expected slugging. His slugging percentage 1.333. The expected slugging was 1.352. His changeup 900 slugging, 901 expected slugging. His sinker 484 slugging, 445 expected slugging. And he's not getting unlucky. He's getting hit, and he's getting hit hard. And he's, his sweeper is still that pitch. Every other pitch has not been that pitch. And for the sweeper, you take a look at where it's at, and he's living in the lower to righties, lower outside part of the zone. Lefties, obviously, lower inside part of the zone. You look at his sinker, though. His sinker is up in the zone and over the middle of the plate, at least for the most, like where he's throwing it the most is over the middle of the plate. His four-seam fastball, which he doesn't throw that often, he's usually trying to get it up in the zone. And, if you're throwing a fastball up in the zone, you want it out of the zone, basically. And he's leaving it in the zone, and that's why it's getting hit. And his changeup he doesn't throw his changeup for a strike enough. And, guys are hitting it as well. So it's just a matter of all his other pitches he's missing. He's missing his spots. And, the sweeper is exactly where you want it to be. Out, barely in the zone or out, right outside the zone, low, and like I said, low and away to righties, low and into lefties. But the sinker, low, mostly over the plate. The changeup, not enough in the zone to make guys, take it or swing and miss. And then the four-seam fastball, too much in the zone. So for Almonte, again, it's that matter. And the 4% difference isn't a huge difference in like the sweeper usage. But if the sweeper is working, keep using the sweeper. And that's easier said than done because the sweeper was working or the sweeper works, but then he threw 4 straight to Contreras, and on the 4th one, it was a home run. So, yeah, I don't know. Mark Pryor would know better, obviously, of what the issue is. And there is concern there because he was not good before, and he had a good year last year, and now he's back to being not good. So I think it's a matter of finding that command, working not so much in the zone, and trying to figure out, get that sweeper usage increased a little bit. So that's what's with Almonte. Now we're going to look forward to the rest of the series because yesterday's game, just enough talking about yesterday's game. So that's what's on tap. So make sure to keep it locked on Dodgers. Today's episode is brought to you by Birddogs. Birddogs are, if you're into comfortable clothes, and Birddogs is here for you. And they're shorts, or they have pants, but I'm gonna talk about the shorts because they sent me some. They sent me a couple pairs of shorts, and they're great. They're great fitting. You look good, obviously, but you feel good wearing Birddogs. They got the stretchy fabric, so you don't want to be constricted these days, especially, we're in a more comfort lifestyle than before. Nobody's tucking in their shirts and wearing, slacks every day, or you might, but at least in LA, we're not. We're wearing shorts where we want comfort. We might go to the beach, or we might go, some people go golfing. I don't. Some people, go wherever. And Birddogs, they're comfort. You can wear them wherever. They're versatile. You can wear them, like I said, golf course, or go hang out with friends, or to a brewery, or to dinner, or whatever the case is. They're there for you. And yeah, if I'm going, to go to a grocery store real quick, let me throw on let me throw on my Birddogs. If I'm gonna go hang out with some friends, go watch, a game, let me throw on my Birddogs. They're there for you, and they're comfortable, and they're fun. They're short. I guess they're whatever it is. But the other part is they have this lining inside. It's kind of like swim trunks, and it adds to the comfort. I'm not gonna lie, it adds to the comfort. And I don't know if this is the way of the future, but it might be the way of the future. A lot more shorts with lining inside makes you feel comfortable, makes you feel good, makes you feel like you can take on the world. So right now, go to birddogs.com/lockdownmlb, and you can get a custom Bird Dogs Yeti style tumbler when you enter the promo code locked on MLB. They also sent me this Yeti style tumbler, and Yeti style tumblers are great. Keeps your cold drinks cold, hot drinks hot. Got the little Birddogs logo on it. It's perfect size for on the go or at home when you're watching the game, whatever you want. So that's birddogs.com/lockedonmlb. Enter the promo code lockedonmlb. Get your free Yeti style tumbler with every order. Go get you some comfortable shorts. Go to Birddogs. All right, that's gonna do it. Thank you or no, that's not gonna do it. But thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day every day. Become an everydayer by listening every day, every Monday through Friday, as we bring you the smart fans perspective on our boys in blue. Remember, Dodgers play at 5:15 tonight. If you're not going to be around to watch, but you want to listen, you can get Sirius XM or the SXM app. Search Dodgers, and you get the home broadcast for every game. You can also listen to Locked On Dodgers on there if you search for Locked On Dodgers. So real quick, Freddie Freeman yesterday hit his 300th career home run. He hit a grand, and it came in grand fashion. It was a grand slam in the 6th inning that got the Dodgers within 9-7. Max Muncy hit a home run the next inning to get it to 9-8, and then that's when Andre Jackson and Yency Almonte fell apart and gave up 7 runs, and the Dodgers lost 16-8. But for Freddie, he's hit the wall a few times since getting 299. He finally got one over the wall, and he now becomes the 144th player in MLB history with at least 300 homers and 1,000 RBIs. It says, 144 player, so only the 7th active player right now. After the game, the team gave him a champagne toast. Mookie talked. A few guys talked. I know Mookie talked. 4 other guys talked. And yeah, it's a big accomplishment for Freddie. Congrats to him. He's not a home run hitter, but 300 home runs is a significant accomplishment for him. And, realistically, with 4 more years after this year with the Dodgers, he should at least get to 400 career home runs, and number 400 should come in a Dodger uniform. So, hopefully that happens for Freddie. Other than that, not too much to talk about this game offensively. Yes, the Dodgers did score 8 runs. That should be enough to win. Unfortunately, it wasn't. Said Freddie had a couple hits. JD had an RBI two-run double in the first inning. Once he had the solo home run. But again, not much to write home about. So let's look at the rest of this series coming up, and what's around for the Dodgers. They got Steven Matz. They're facing Steven Matz today. Against who's pitching for the Dodgers today? Against sorry guys, I completely lost. Tony Gonsolin against Steven Matz. That should be one. The Dodgers have a pitching advantage, and Gonsolin's been pretty good this year. Ideally, Gonsolin has an efficient game. The Dodgers really need one of these starters to go deep into a game because this bullpen is taxed. One note, Michael Grove was in the Dodgers clubhouse on the taxi squad in case they need him. I would imagine Andre Jackson is going to get optioned and Michael Grove is going to get added today, just in case Gonsolin struggles. And also Andre Jackson threw 3 in the third. He's probably going to be down for at least 3 days, 2-3 days, and they need arms now. So that's what's there. Michael Grove was supposed to go on a rehab assignment, and his rehab assignment is seemingly going to be in the major leagues now because the Dodgers are probably going to activate him. If not today, then for sure this weekend. Gonsolin, the Dodgers really need a at least 6 innings out of him. They need to kind of reset this bullpen because they're treading water right now, and it's not good. You got Saturday's game. You got Syndergaard versus Mikolas. Mikolas is a good pitcher, but he doesn't have elite or he doesn't have elite velocity. Dodgers can get to him. Syndergaard, similar on the other side. Syndergaard doesn't have elite velocity. The Cardinals could get to him. We'll see how his finger is. We'll see what how effective he is. I would imagine the effectiveness is going to determine how long he pitches more so than he can go 60 pitches again for effectiveness or for his finger issue. And if he can't go 85, 90 pitches in a start, the Dodgers need to throw him on the injured list. And obviously I don't know who. There's not a lot coming up. Gavin Stone's already coming up for Dustin May realistically, but kind of got to figure it out. And then Sunday you got probably the best pitching matchup of the weekend. You got Kershaw versus Jack Flaherty. Flaherty struggled more than a few times this year. Had his best start of the year, his last start. He's a tough righty, but the Dodgers do hit righties better, so we'll see what happens there. Kershaw, again, coming off a little bit of a struggle against the Twins, but he'll look to get it going on Sunday. So that's the look toward the weekend. The Cardinals again are 9-2 in their last 11. They're playing really hot. That was coming off an 8-game losing streak that the Dodgers contributed when they swept them in Los Angeles. So it's not going to be an easy weekend. Nolan Arenado's hot. He's starting to, hit home runs. Wilson Contreras had 2 homers last night. Paul Goldschmidt's obviously always a threat. The Cardinals are feeling good. And the Dodgers, it's a long road trip and they got to kind of get it going. And, like I said, offensively, they did put up 8 runs. That's good. But pitching wise, another starter that failed to go past the 5th inning or he didn't get into the 4th, but another starter that failed to get into the 5th inning, and another long game for the bullpen. The bullpen struggles continue on this little stretch here, and I just think guys are tired. Well, Andre Jackson wasn't, but Bickford, he's still probably feeling the effects from throwing 50 pitches the other night, and Almonte's thrown a lot recently too, and these guys are struggling. They need a breath and they need a starter to help them out. So, Gonsolin, Kershaw, for sure, they need 6 out of them. Syndergaard, ideally, at least 5. But that all remains to be seen. So we'll come back on Monday and we'll talk about that. That's what's on tap, for Monday's episode, talking about these next 3 games. That's going to do it for today's episode. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day. Become an everydayer and listen every day. Make it easy on yourself by subscribing wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. All you got to do is search for Locked On Dodgers. Tell your friends, tell your family. Make sure that they become everydayers, and you guys can be part of that club together. You can find us, or you find podcasts and on YouTube. If you search Locked On Dodgers, you can find us on Twitter and Instagram, Locked On Dodgers. Jeff is on Twitter at Snydog. I'm at Vincent91. You can DM any of those accounts if you need to get a hold of us. You can also get a hold of us via email, lockedondodgers@gmail.com, or via voicemail text at 323-863-5625. We're here every weekday morning, and we hope you'll be with us when you get in your car or if you're at home. Terry Smart Device Play Podcast, Locked On Dodgers. And remember, you don't have to agree. You just have to listen. Have a good one.